This video is going to be my reaction to the Lions 20-19 loss to the Cowboys Saturday night down in Dallas. Extremely unusual game that leaves at least me with a lot of different thoughts that are almost divergent. I feel like the Lions won. I really do, and I feel like as time moves on, that'll only be a feeling that's more solidified or a thought that is more concrete. Certainly down 7 points, getting the football back, just over 2 minutes left, I believe. You're not sure what exactly is going to occur there. 140 left, excuse me, when Goff begins that drive. I will address the referee's mistake. I do think it's a mistake. I have a couple of pictures here that I'll show. I can't really show the film because it's broadcast film. So hopefully I can get away with showing the pictures a little bit enlarged and explain to you what I know. But a couple of things I want to mention first. This is going to be a way less scientific reaction video than I normally do. I spent a significant amount of time looking at the play, looking at the referee and Decker and Sewell and Skipper's interaction. Excuse me, Decker and Sewell's interaction with the ref, because it doesn't look like to me Skipper had one. Skipper is under no obligation to come on the field and say anything as a sixth offensive lineman or fifth or seventh. But some things to mention before we get to that situation. Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks. The talent level was on full display as compared to other guys that rushed the passer. I'm not sure that anyone else had a sack. I could be wrong there for the Lions. Really similar game defensively to the Vikings last week. Gave up big plays against the pass to an extremely talented wide receiver and just shut down the run game. I believe the Cowboys only generated 61 yards rushing on the day. 61 yards rushing on 21 carries. Meanwhile, they threw for 323, and of course, we know CeeDee Lamb accounted for 227 of that. It was good enough today to get the job done and get the win. I will say that this is 2 weeks in a row of giving up huge chunks in the pass game by playing certain coverages that are more risky. There is clearly enough evidence here to say that what Aaron Glenn and the defense did tonight worked, because they had a chance to win the game, kept them in the game against the Cowboys team that was 7-0 at home, well, now is 8-0, and averaging 40 points a game at home. With no regard or explanation as to who they played, that's a pretty incredible number. You're talking about 280 points scored at home across 7 games against NFL competition, and tonight the Lions went in there and held them to 20. Have to give Aaron Glenn credit, Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, for staying the course with what the plan was, even though CeeDee Lamb was tearing them up. The 2 interceptions are big, and the 4th down failed conversion in the first half. I really don't understand that one at all. It's confusing to me. We talked about it in our Discord significantly. But in any case, let's deal with the thing that everybody's talking about on social media, rightfully so. So Decker clearly goes to the ref and reports. And this is a still shot. I'm not a huge fan of still shots being used to represent a situation, but I feel like this is a perfect example of what people are talking about. Decker and Sewell have no reason to go over to the ref. Why are they doing that? Think about the play that's run. Sewell is right here as the third offensive lineman to that side. St. Brown is closing him off. St. Brown's on the line of scrimmage. Skipper is right here. If you recall, prior to this, Sewell's feet was out here. He motioned down. That was bait. That was visual bait for the Cowboys to see him over there. When you combine that with the fact that Sewell and Decker went over to the ref and Skipper ran in, to me, this is all a setup. Aikman said it best. It's almost as if Aikman knew what was coming. He said they will have a play that they've practiced all week, etc., etc. One thing to mention before we get into the specifics of this formation and why the ref in the booth was absolutely incorrect by saying this is an illegal formation if whether Decker reported eligible or not. That is absolutely incorrect. But as a coach, yes, you would go to the refs and tell them about trick plays you have. We would do that consistently. Now, again, I've only coached at the high school level and then youth, at the same time, so never anything near approaching this level. But yes, you could absolutely go to them and prep them on trick plays. Additionally, for years, we were an option team under center. the school that I went to was when I was in high school, and then for a while when I played there, when I coached there, excuse me, we would tell the refs we were an option team. Why? So the refs didn't blow the whistle. Let me tell you, that happened. That happened often. It strangely happened when you were on the road playing teams in other conferences that didn't have option teams. So, yes, Dan Campbell is absolutely telling the truth when he says that you prep the referees on trick plays or anything unusual that maybe they don't see every week. Back then and even now, under center triple option teams was an outlier that refs didn't see all the time. The last thing we wanted was our fullback running down the field or our quarterback running down the field while the other of them, either the fullback or the quarterback who didn't get the ball, was tackled by the defense, and we were literally off to the races with the touchdown, but the whistle had blown. So Campbell is absolutely correct. On his press conference, I think he was not saying what he wants to say, and that's why he walked off so quickly. That's my suspicion. Why he walked off so quickly, number one. And number two, why he basically gave the referee's explanation as his answer to the question, as if that is the reality, that was truth. And I think at this point, it's pretty obvious that it was not. Now, who would know is these guys over here for the Cowboys, because the ref goes to them prior to the play, and he actually gives them the same signal that Decker does. I don't have it here in this still shot, but Decker gave the signal, wiping his chest and his stomach, to the referee once while walking over, and then I think briefly a second time. Skipper never gives him that hand signal, if you ask me. The ref then walks over to the defense, gives the same exact signal to them. We don't know what he said, but again, the Cowboys would be able to tell us what he said. So can't show you the play, obviously, but let's get to the formation and why the referee is wrong. You need 7 on the line of scrimmage. There is a guard in here whose helmet is difficult to see. It's the right guard. Center, left guard, and then Decker down there is on the line. So you got 7. It is a legal formation unless Skipper reported eligible. If Skipper reported eligible, then the penalty, well, there's 2 penalties that could be called. Skipper being closed off, but certainly you can't call Decker for not being closed off if he reported eligible, which it seems like he did. We'll get some explanation possibly from the NFL. The NFL kind of reminds me of like that famous book, 1984. Basically, they'll give you any explanation they want, or I guess, depending on how old you are, The Wizard of Oz, where the wizard is behind the curtain and clearly talking and says, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain that you can plainly see. That's kind of like the NFL in some cases, and hopefully this isn't one of them. Hopefully they come clean and the referee explains what he heard or didn't hear. Someone reported eligible. There is no way that the following people all lined up wrong. If Skipper reported eligible, what the hell is he doing closed off by Sewell? That makes him ineligible. That's the definition of ineligible. Additionally, why is Josh Reynolds lined up off the line of scrimmage if the left tackle is supposed to be ineligible? Clearly, the left tackle is not supposed to be ineligible. The play is designed for him to catch the 2-point conversion pass, which he did. All of the obfuscation and Decker's body language, to me, points to the referee heard someone report, for whatever reason, is focused on Skipper running in from this direction. Is focused on Skipper running in from this direction, off screen in the still shot, and kind of doesn't pay any attention to Decker walking over, I guess. But I'm not going to show the video, but there is clips on Twitter. You can look at it if you want. As he walks away, his attention does clearly look at Decker and Sewell. To me, this is brilliant design by the Lions, using 2 offensive linemen to walk over there. Skipper being the obvious bait, coming onto the field as the 6th offensive lineman. Have no idea what was said in the stadium. You do hear on the broadcast, you hear the broadcast announcers say that Skipper has come in as the 6th offensive lineman, but they don't say he reported eligible. It's unfortunate that we just don't get an announcement from the ref that you can hear. It seems like the referee only goes over to the defense and tells them who's eligible, but does not make an announcement on the loudspeaker, which I thought you were supposed to do at the NFL level. Probably some elements of it that I'm forgetting because, like I said, I'm recording this, kind of live and impromptu. I didn't really write anything out, but I wanted to get it out as quick as I could. I don't think that all of those guys lined up wrong and Taylor Decker walked over there. You can clearly see Jared Goff in the huddle, point to him and have him walk over. Sewell walks over. There's another element to this that maybe Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell will address. Sometimes, and this does not apply to Taylor Decker, but sometimes when you have a player who's got limited experience or limited versatility, you assign another player, and I'm talking about my experience in high school and youth football, that has more experience, more game savvy, if you want, to supervise a situation like Decker walking over there. Sewell and Decker will be the ones, from a Lions perspective, who can detail what was said. Decker seemed to be playing it safe, but clearly indicated that he went over and did what he was coached to do. You let me know in the comment section what you think. I think Taylor Decker goes over and reports. That's what it looks like to me. And I think Skipper walks on. The referee looks at him, and it almost looks like the referee kind of says something or points at Skipper. I don't know why he would be pointing at him. You certainly, as a referee, don't ask, "Are you eligible?" That you don't have to ask. First of all, Skipper comes on often, which is another part of this that makes it a brilliant play. And from a design standpoint, is that Skipper comes on so often, you would expect, and he reports eligible so often, you would expect him to be the guy that this is thrown to. If the defense, the Cowboys, heard 68 reported eligible and they still left them open, that's clearly a huge mistake and error and lapse in their judgment and their awareness. I think the referee heard someone say they were eligible, for whatever reason went over to the defense and told them that 70 was eligible. I have no idea if it was announced in the stadium or not. If anybody was there, feel free to let me know if that's the case. And the Lions end up catching a really, really bad break, in my opinion, on what could have been a brilliant win, and what they know in their heart actually is a brilliant win. From a tactical standpoint, I do think there was some things I'd like to talk about. And I don't necessarily want to criticize, but you can't let CeeDee Lamb go for 220 or 227. You cannot leave him manned so many times and wait to learn that you just can't deal with him, to bracket him. Basically, allocate 2 players to stopping him in some of those third down situations. Too many slants hit to CeeDee Lamb over the middle against heavy pressure, man-to-man looks, for me. You may have a different opinion. Goff's 2 picks, like I said earlier. The first one is an unusual situation. There's clearly pressure on him, so he's trying to get the screen over to Montgomery. It's a great job by the DB. I think Wilson for the Cowboys, but I could be wrong. And then the other interception, that I don't know what the explanation is for that one. It's very difficult to imagine that he's not aware the Cowboys at this point in the season are jumping routes. Aikman did a nice job of saying, "Hey, look, the Cowboys DBs know that they're going to get pressure, so they can kind of jump some of these routes." Poorly thrown ball, if you ask me, on that interception intended for Laporta, left flats, which is similar area of the field that he threw to on the failed 2-point conversion to Mitchell after the penalty. I'm kind of done dealing with the penalty. I'm sure there's some things that I miss. I'm on the side right now that the referee had a huge administrative error there. The throw is what I'm focusing on now. I think that's a great design. After the offsides penalty by Parsons, I think the ball's on the 4, maybe the 3.5. I think it's fantastic design. Laporta looks like he's picking or screening someone. Mitchell out into the flats. If that ball is thrown maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet higher and slightly more upfield, I think it's an easy catch for Mitchell. So fantastic design for a guy who doesn't get a lot of catches, let alone targets, in Mitchell. Lions outgained the Cowboys 420 to 384. Only gave up 1 sack, ran for 125, scored 2 touchdowns, and a field goal in the second half. Absolutely some reasons, I should say, for Lions fans to come out of here feeling good, even though you lost in a way that Some people are going to, play the victim role and say we got screwed. I think it's an administrative error. Do I think that there's anything more than that going on from a referee standpoint? No, I absolutely do not. Having said that, the defense, I think, has all the initiative and ability to make changes here. There was a lot of man coverage with pressure, and that surprised me. They've been doing more zone blitzes lately, and that was not the case today. In the first half, let me talk about some offense stuff. Too many third down runs in the first half for my liking. I'm not necessarily going to go through a whole bunch of possessions. I will show you the seventh possession here, where the Lions take a 10-7 lead. I think it's in the third quarter. I got it at the top of the third quarter. It's their seventh possession. Incredible drive. The fourth down completion to Laporta, 4th and 2. You're already in Cowboys territory. And then another third down down at the end, another third down. This is a touchdown to Montgomery on 3rd and 2. I'm okay with those runs. When I say there was too many third down runs in the first half, I'm talking about 3rd and 4. I believe one of them was a 3rd and 3. My distances might be off a little bit there, but it seemed to me like there was too many of them for you to have an Amon-Ra St. Brown on your team. Now, he did have 6 catches for 90 yards, and what could have been the game-tying touchdown catch or the touchdown catch that allowed you to win the game, which we all know that they actually did on the field. I think St. Brown is underutilized in this game. Now, that's before we get the All-22, and we see maybe the Cowboys defense was allocating multiple people to him. Maybe they were pushing coverage to him, bracketing him, whatever phrase you want to use. That's entirely possible, which could explain why other guys got more targets and why on some of those third downs, Ben Johnson was more comfortable running the football. I still did not think after the first one was successful, I believe, on the first drive. Maybe it was the second drive. The first iteration of it was successful. Thereafter, I thought you had 3 unsuccessful ones in a row. And then a fourth one, I think, that did succeed. And then this fifth one, I don't know if you really want to count this one. 3rd and 2 from the 3, Montgomery's touchdown, pretty easy. On that same drive, however, you've got a 3rd and 2 from the Cowboys 41, preceding Laporta's completion or catch for 4 yards that fails. I did not think those things were productive today. I was not super pleased with some of the play calls by Ben Johnson in some of those situations. Missed opportunities early, clearly. Barnes missed a sack that's been talked about at this point by everyone, I'm sure. Ends up being the touchdown to Lamb versus Vildor. A little disappointed that on a 3rd and 13, there isn't at least some middle of the field safety help. I'm not sure that Vildor or Sutton should be expected to guard CeeDee Lamb in those situations and succeed. How many times out of 10 would you expect those guys to win? 2, maybe 3. They didn't tonight. Neither did Branch on some of those slants. He did have 1, maybe 2 really nice coverage snap against Lamb in the slot. Look, on that touchdown pass to Lamb, Barnes misses a huge opportunity at a sack. Clearly. The cool thing is, I thought I saw Dan Campbell over coaching him after the play. And then the next possession, Barnes is right back out there on 3rd down. Showed a lot of confidence in him after a big mistake. And then I thought Barnes played like his hair was on fire thereafter. I don't know exactly how many tackles he had or what his impact was defensively, but pretty cool from a coach's standpoint for me to see him stay in the game, have an impact. Nobody else. I did think Bruce Irvin got 1 quarterback pressure or quarterback hit. Maybe Jack Campbell had 1, or maybe it was Rodriguez. I'm not sure. It was a hit a little bit late after the ball was out. Just after the ball was out. Barnes, I thought, played well. Cam Sutton clearly had difficulty dealing with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, who wouldn't at this point? The guy's got over 1,600 yards receiving, 115 catches or so. Back to Hutchinson for a moment. Not only did he have 3 sacks, I have him down for 5 quarterback hits. I thought there was a 6th one, but in my notes, I don't see it at all. Going forward on 4th down in the first half there, I was very disappointed from a Lions perspective. You may say, well, Coach, it didn't matter. I don't know, man. It seems like an additional 3 points would have helped the cause there in the second half, but That's a little bit of a snarky way to look at it, and I really don't want to do that because I think the Lions, kind of came out of this and showed what they're capable of. And if they were to play in 2 weeks in Detroit, I would certainly think the Lions have a great chance to win that football game. So when I'm talking about going for it on fourth down, fourth and goal from the 4 in the second quarter, and you're down 7-3. Now, what bothers me about it the most is I think it's about 6 minutes left in the half. And I'm a huge Dan Campbell fan. Like, let's get that out of the way. If you didn't know that, I mean, what am I doing? I'm up at 12:45 a.m. on a Saturday night recording this to get my thoughts out. So, like, I trust the dude, and I think he's a fantastic coach. I would love to work for a person like that. Having said that, if I did work for a person like that, I'd be screaming on the headset with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Hey, they get the ball if we don't score here, and they get the ball to start the third quarter. When they can double up on you and they're already up 7-3, in my opinion, you kick the field goal. Now, some would say, well, what if they get 2 touchdowns? I mean, have they scored 2 touchdowns on you to that point? 6 minutes left, 5.5 minutes left in the second quarter? No, they got 1 touchdown on a play when realistically, like we said, Derek Barnes had an opportunity to get a sack, doesn't finish it off, perhaps because of the rules. He doesn't want to get a penalty in the end zone. I also think there's a little bit of a tactical mistake by Aaron Glenn with that coverage, not having the middle of the field free safety. But if you want to say, hey, they could score 2 touchdowns in the next 2 possessions, so we've got to get a touchdown here, that hasn't been the game flow thus far to the point where you make that decision. The fourth and goal play is incomplete to Laporta. I want to talk about the play before that. If you're going to throw into the end zone on fourth and goal from the 4, why? Well, it's our only shot. We want to get the ball in there. We want to make sure that we don't complete a pass on the 2 and the guy gets stopped on the 1. Then why are we running on the third and goal from the 5 with Gibbs? He gets 1 yard. I don't like the call. I don't like the decision to go for it on 4th and 4, and I like the third down play call even less. And you can either recognize and believe me when I say I'm still a big fan of those guys or not. I can sit here and give my opinion if I want. You can choose whether to listen to it or not. I think it's a terrible lack of judgment in that moment. Now, fast forward to the game-winning situation. I got no problem with that. I really don't. It's not 2 different situations, if you ask me. You can't win the game on that 4th and goal from the 4, but you can lose it. You can win the game with that 2-point conversion call. So I'm comfortable with that. Let me go to the 11th possession, the possession where Goff, Ben Johnson, St. Brown, and Laporta really make everything right. Those first 2 completions to Laporta, I think Aikman recognizes the talent level of Sam Laporta. And I think that's why he was, I don't want to say harsh, but he was pointing out that Laporta had not played great up to his standards to this moment. So for Laporta, a rookie, to respond in this moment with, like I said, it was 140 left, 141 when they got the ball. I misspoke earlier. To have 2 catches totaling 35 yards, that was pretty amazing. Goff has 2 spikes on the drive. Otherwise, he only has 1 incomplete pass. And then the touchdown to St. Brown in the right flats is incredible. But the real play that I think made it look like, hey, this could happen, is the 3rd and 10 to Laporta over the middle. I thought it was versus man. And he had, on one of the plays earlier, I think maybe the first play of this drive, I thought like someone had grabbed his ankle on the tackle. Maybe it was another possession. And I was a little worried about that afterwards. 3 catches on this drive, the 3rd of which converts a 3rd and 10, pushes the ball down to the 10-yard line. After a spike, that beautiful play to St. Brown for a 10-yard touchdown. It looks like to me Gilmore goes with like a snag by someone that, kind of used as bait, and St. Brown kind of takes his route out to the sideline. Goff recognizes it quickly. Regardless of Goff's 2 interceptions and how the game finished, his throw to Mitchell is low. I think it's a poor throw. This drive says a lot about him, and this drive says a lot about this team. Laporta and St. Brown being the 2 guys that make the plays doesn't surprise me. Probably doesn't surprise you either. They're the most reliable guys, and I would like to see St. Brown get the ball more, particularly early in the game. That 3rd and goal from the 5, 6 minutes left in the second quarter. To me, I want St. Brown to be my read. He can't be your read if you're running the football. And I enjoy the fact that Ben Johnson goes against the grain and runs the football in some of those situations. I think it was a little bit overkill tonight. I think he did a little bit too much of that in the second quarter. And then Campbell's decision not to kick the field goal bothered me at the time. All of that was erased or wiped away by the beautiful drive with 140 left. Goff throwing the football, throwing strikes to Laporta, getting the ball out quick to St. Brown. I've already covered the 2-point conversion situation. As this premieres, there'll probably be more information that's come out. I actually did watch Campbell's press conference. I liked how he handled it. I thought he handled it like a man. I thought he handled it like a leader of other men. He even kind of apologized to the one reporter and said, I don't like losing now. I don't mean anything towards you, so, my apologies, or forgive me for that. He clearly went out of his way to just repeat the referee's explanation for the penalty. But I thought in that moment that watching him, you could tell that he knew the truth and that the truth was not in alignment with what that ref said. Since then, I've gone on Twitter and I've looked at what Decker said, and Decker seems to indicate that he did everything he was asked to do. I'm sure there'll be more information come out probably by the time this video premieres up. You guys let me know. Like I said, this was far less scientific than normal. I didn't show any game stats. Really only talked about 2 possessions. Spent probably too much time discussing that 2-point conversion to you. I appreciate you guys' time, and if you think other Lions fans would enjoy at least my explanation of the formation and why the ref in the broadcast booth was wrong initially, and then he actually stood pat on that explanation on ESPN, I think later on, or maybe it was ABC. Certainly not an illegal formation if Decker reported eligible and Skipper did not. If Skipper reported eligible, then it is an illegal formation because he's closed off. If you need further explanation or diagrams for closed off, eligible formation, ineligible, whatever, please let me know in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time. It's a difficult loss, I know, but it should be one that albeit drops you to 11-5 and certainly wipes out any chances of being the top seed in the NFC. Should give you some encouragement that this Lions team can go on the road against a great home team like the Cowboys and really give them all they want, and we know really probably should have prevailed in the end. Appreciate you guys' time.